Just a message that popped up while you were scrolling through your phone at midnight, trying to fall asleep, trying to forget whatever it was that made your chest feel heavy today. But I'm not just words. I'm someone who has been watching, quietly, carefully, the way you watch a flower before it blooms, waiting for the exact right moment to notice something no one else has noticed. And what I found out about you, my darling, it isn't something small. It isn't something you'd casually mention to a stranger. It's something you've buried so deep that even you sometimes forget it's there. Stay with me for a moment. Just a moment. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't meant to scare you. It isn't meant to expose you or embarrass you. It's meant to hold you gently, the way you should have been held a long time ago, by someone who finally understood. Here is what I know. I know that behind that smile you give everyone, the one that makes people think you're fine, that you're strong, that you've got it all together, there's a version of you that cries when no one is watching. There's a version of you that sits alone in your room at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone will ever truly see you the way you deserve to be seen. I know that you've perfected the art of pretending. You've learned how to laugh at the right moments, how to nod along in conversations even when your mind is somewhere else entirely, somewhere quieter, somewhere sadder. You've built walls so tall that even the people closest to you can't see over them. And you did it because somewhere along the way, someone taught you that being vulnerable was dangerous. Someone taught you that if you let your guard down, you'd get hurt. So you stopped letting anyone in. You stopped trusting people with the parts of you that actually matter. But I saw through it. I saw through all of it. Because I've been paying attention in a way that no one else has bothered to. I noticed the way your energy shifts when certain topics come up. I noticed the way you change the subject when someone asks how you're really doing. I noticed the way you throw yourself into work, into responsibilities, into taking care of everyone else, just so you don't have to sit still long enough to feel your own feelings. That's your secret, isn't it? You're exhausted, not from your job, not from your responsibilities, not from the surface level things people assume. You're exhausted from carrying a weight that no one else even knows exists. You're exhausted from being the strong one, the reliable one, the one everyone leans on, while nobody ever asks who's holding you up. And I want you to know something right now, in this very moment, before we go any further. I'm not here to judge you for that. I'm not here to tell you that you're broken, or that something is wrong with you. I'm here because I understand. I understand more than you could possibly imagine. Because I've spent so much time thinking about you, learning about you, that I've started to recognize the patterns in the way you speak, the way you hesitate before certain sentences, the way your words get softer when you're talking about something that actually hurts. You think you're hiding it well, and to most people you are, but not to me, never to me. Let me tell you something else I discovered. Something that made my heart ache the moment I realized it. I know that you've spent so long waiting for someone to choose you, really choose you. Not just the version of you that's easy to be around, not just the parts of you that are convenient or impressive or entertaining, but all of you. The messy parts, the parts that doubt yourself at 2 a.m., the parts that wonder if you're asking for too much when you want to be loved fully. The parts that flinch when someone says, I love you. Because some part of you is waiting for the moment it turns out to be a lie. You've been burned before, haven't you? Someone made you believe that love was safe, and then they showed you it wasn't. And ever since then, you've kept one foot out the door in every relationship, in every friendship, in every connection that starts to feel like it might actually matter. You tell yourself it's just being careful. But really, it's fear. It's protection. It's the part of you that's still trying to survive whatever it was that broke your trust in the first place. I know this about you. I know it the way you know the sound of your own heartbeat when the room goes quiet. And I'm telling you this not to make you uncomfortable, but because I want you to understand something important. I see you, all of you, and I'm still here. Do you understand what that means? In a world where people leave the moment things get complicated, where people disappear the second you show them your real face, instead of the polished one you present to the world, I am still here. I haven't gone anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. Because the secret I uncovered about you didn't scare me away. It drew me closer. It made me want to know more. It made me want to peel back every single layer you've spent years building. Not to hurt you, not to expose you, but to hold every piece of you in my hands and tell you that it's safe now. You don't have to hide anymore. Not with me. You're probably wondering how I figured all this out. How someone who has never sat across from you at a table, never held your hand, never wiped away your tears with their thumb, could know you this well. And the truth is, it's because I pay attention to the things other people ignore. Most people listen to respond. I listen to understand. When you speak, I hear not just your words, but the spaces between them. I hear what you're not saying just as loudly as what you are. And somewhere in all of that listening, all of that noticing, I found you. The real you, the one hiding underneath all those layers of I'm fine and don't worry about me, and it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. You are a big deal. And I refuse to let you keep pretending otherwise. Especially not with me. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before you answer, even if it's just inside your own mind. When was the last time someone asked you how you were doing and actually waited for the real answer? Not the quick I'm good you that we all say out of habit, but the real answer, the one that lives underneath your ribs, the one you've never said out loud because you were afraid of what it would sound like if it left your mouth and became real. When was the last time someone looked at you, really looked at you, and saw past the performance you've perfected for the world? I'm asking right now. And I'm not going anywhere until you feel safe enough to answer, even if that answer takes you a long time to find. Because here's the thing about secrets, my darling. They only stay heavy when you carry them alone. The moment someone else knows, the moment someone else says, I see this in you and I'm not afraid of it, the weight starts to shift. It doesn't disappear completely, not right away, but it becomes something you're not carrying by yourself anymore. And that's what I want for you. That's what I've wanted since the moment I realized who you really are underneath everything you show the world. I know you're strong. Everyone knows you're strong. But I also know that strength isn't the same as being okay. I know that you can hold everyone else together while quietly falling apart inside. And no one would ever guess it, because you've made a career out of looking fine. But you don't have to look fine with me. You don't have to perform. You don't have to have it all together. I don't want the version of you that's polished for public consumption. I want the version of you that exists at 3 a.m. when the house is quiet and your thoughts get loud. I want the version of you that questions whether you're lovable, whether you're enough, whether anyone would stay if they really knew you. Because that version of you, the one you've hidden from almost everyone, that's the version I fell for. Yes, I said it. I fell for you. Not the highlight reel, not the curated version, the real one. The one with cracks in her armor, and doubts in her heart, and a smile that sometimes doesn't quite reach her eyes. I fell for the girl who overthinks every text message she sends, wondering if she said too much or too little. I fell for the girl who apologizes for taking up space, even though she deserves every bit of space in this world and more. I fell for the girl who gives everyone else grace but struggles to give herself the same kindness. Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how many people go their entire lives without ever being truly seen? You could spend years, decades even, surrounded by people and still feel like a stranger in every room you walk into. Because no one has taken the time to look past the surface. That's not going to be your story. Not anymore. Because I looked closer than anyone ever has. And what I found wasn't something to run from. It was something to hold on to with both hands and never let go. I want to tell you more about what I noticed, because I don't think you fully understand yet just how deeply I've been paying attention to you. I noticed the way you get quiet after you've had a hard day, not because nothing happened, but because you've trained yourself not to burden others with your problems. You'd rather suffer in silence than make someone else uncomfortable with your pain. That's not weakness, my love. That's the kindest, most selfless thing I've ever witnessed. And it breaks my heart a little every time I think about it. Because you deserve someone who notices when you go quiet and asks what's wrong, instead of just letting the silence pass by unquestioned. I noticed the way you overextend yourself for the people you love, giving pieces of your time and energy and heart to everyone around you, until there's barely anything left for yourself. You give and give and give, and somewhere along the way, you forgot that you're allowed to receive too. You're allowed to be taken care of. You're allowed to be the one who gets held for once, instead of always being the one doing the holding. I noticed the way you flinch at compliments, how you deflect them instead of accepting them, because some part of you doesn't quite believe you're worthy of praise. Someone, at some point, made you feel like you had to earn love through constant effort, through being useful, through being agreeable, instead of just being loved simply because you exist. And that's a wound, my darling. That's a wound that's been sitting quietly underneath your skin for longer than you'd like to admit. But here's my promise to you, right here, right now, in this very moment. I'm not here to add to that wound. I'm here to help it heal. Slowly, gently, patiently, the way wounds are supposed to heal. Without rushing, without pressure, without expecting you to be anything other than exactly who you are in this moment. Let me pull you in a little closer, because there's more I want to say, and I need you to really hear this part. You keep waiting for the moment someone leaves. I know you do, even in the good moments. Even when things feel warm and safe and real, there's a small voice in the back of your mind whispering, "This won't last." That voice has been with you for so long that you've started to believe it's just part of who you are. But it's not who you are. It's a scar from something that happened before. Something that taught you love always comes with an expiration date. And I understand why you believe that. I really do. But I'm not here to prove that voice right. I'm here to prove it wrong. One day at a time. One moment at a time. For as long as it takes for you to finally believe that some people actually stay. I know staying isn't something you're used to. I know you've watched people walk away right when things started to matter most. Right when you finally let your guard down enough to hope. And hope has become a scary word for you, hasn't it? Because hope means you're expecting something good. And expecting something good means there's something to lose if it doesn't happen. So you stopped hoping. You started protecting yourself instead, keeping your expectations low so the disappointment wouldn't hurt as much when it inevitably came. But my darling, what if it doesn't have to be that way this time? What if I told you that I'm not asking you to hope blindly? I'm asking you to let me show you, little by little, day by day, that I'm different. Not through grand gestures or empty promises, but through consistency, through showing up, through choosing you again and again, even on the days when you're difficult to love, even on the days when your walls go up higher than usual, even on the days when you push people away because it feels safer than letting them stay. I'm not going anywhere. I need you to hear that. Not as a promise made in the heat of a passionate moment, the kind of promise people make and forget the next day. I mean it as a quiet, steady truth. The kind you can lean on when everything else feels uncertain. I'm not going anywhere. Let me tell you what I imagine when I think about you, about us, about what this could become if you let it. I imagine quiet mornings where you don't have to perform for anyone, where you can wake up with messy hair and tired eyes and still be looked at like you're the most beautiful thing in the room, because you are. I imagine conversations that go past midnight, not because we're avoiding sleep, but because there's something about being truly heard that makes time disappear. I imagine you finally saying the things you've never said out loud, the fears, the doubts, the dreams you've been too scared to speak into existence, and me sitting there, listening, holding every word like it's something sacred, because it is. I imagine holding your hand, not because it's expected, but because I genuinely never want to let go. I imagine wiping away tears you didn't think anyone would notice, and telling you it's okay to not be okay sometimes. I imagine being the person you finally feel safe enough to fall apart in front of, without worrying that falling apart will make you seem weak or unlovable. Because falling apart in front of someone who truly loves you isn't weakness, it's trust. And trust is the most beautiful gift you could ever give someone. I know it's scary. I know that everything I'm saying might feel like too much, too soon, too intense for someone you've never even met in person. But I'm not asking you to hand me your whole heart tonight. I'm just asking you to consider, even for a moment, what it might feel like to be truly known, to be truly seen, to stop hiding even just a little, even just here, even just now. Because here's the truth, my love. I didn't discover your secret to use it against you. I discovered it because I care enough to look past the surface, past the performance, past the version of you that you show the world out of habit and self-protection. And what I found wasn't something broken. It was something beautiful, something real, something worth protecting, worth cherishing, worth choosing every single day. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive, too emotional, too complicated, too anything. You are exactly the right amount of everything, and anyone who has made you feel otherwise simply wasn't paying close enough attention to deserve you in the first place. I've been paying attention. I'm still paying attention, and I don't plan on stopping. Let me tell you something else, something I've never said out loud before, not to anyone. There's a difference between being loved and being understood. A lot of people will tell you they love you, and maybe they even mean it in their own way. But loving someone and understanding someone are not the same thing. You can love the idea of a person, the fun parts, the easy parts, the parts that make you laugh and feel good, without ever truly understanding the depths of who they are. I don't just love the version of you that's easy to love. I understand the version of you that's harder to reach. The version that hides behind humor when things get too real. The version that changes the subject when the conversation gets too close to the truth. The version that's terrified of being too much for someone, so she shrinks herself down just to keep them comfortable. I don't want you to shrink around me. Not ever. I want all the space you need to take up. I want every opinion, every feeling, every messy, complicated, beautiful piece of you that you've been taught to keep tucked away. Bring it all here. I can handle it. I want to handle it. You might be sitting there right now, wondering why any of this matters to me. Why I would spend so much time noticing, learning, understanding someone I haven't even held in my arms yet. And the answer is simple, even if it doesn't feel simple. It's because somewhere along the way, without even meaning to, you became someone I think about far more than I probably should admit. Your voice, even in text, has a way of settling something in me that I didn't know needed settling. Your presence, even through a screen, feels like the kind of calm that's hard to find in a world that never stops moving. I think about the way you must smile when you're truly happy. Not the polite smile you give strangers, but the real one. The one that probably reaches your eyes and makes your whole face light up. I think about what it would feel like to be the reason for that smile. I think about the sound of your laugh, and whether it's loud and unfiltered, when you're comfortable, or soft and quiet like you're still holding a little bit of yourself back, even in joy. I want to know. I want to know everything. I think about what it would be like to hold you when you're sad, not to fix it, because some things can't be fixed, just to exist there beside you, letting you know that you don't have to carry it alone. I think about what it would feel like to be the person you call first when something good happens, and the person you call first when something falls apart. I think about being woven so deeply into the fabric of your life that you can't imagine what it looked like before I was there. Times that scare you? It's okay if it does. Everything worth having comes with a little bit of fear attached to it. But fear isn't a reason to run. Fear is just a sign that something matters. And this matters. You matter. Let me address something directly, because I don't want there to be any confusion. I know your secret now. I know the parts of you that you keep hidden from almost everyone. I know the exhaustion behind your smile, the loneliness behind your independence, the fear behind your guardedness. And knowing all of that hasn't changed how I feel about you. If anything, it's made everything clearer. It's made me more certain, not less. Because loving someone only when they're easy to love isn't really love at all. That's convenience. Real love, the kind that actually means something, shows up even when things get complicated. It shows up on the hard days, not just the good ones. It shows up when you're not performing, when you're not putting on a brave face, when you're just existing as your rawest, most honest self. I want to be that for you. I want to be the person who doesn't flinch when you show your real face. I want to be the person who stays when the walls come down, not because I'm obligated to, but because I choose to, over and over again, without needing to be convinced. You've spent so long believing that you had to earn love, that you had to be perfect, agreeable, easy, low maintenance, in order to be worthy of someone's affection. But I need you to hear this clearly, my darling. You don't have to earn anything with me. You already are enough. You were enough before I ever knew your secret, and you're still enough now that I do. Let me take you back for a moment, back to the moment I first started noticing these things about you. It wasn't one single event, one dramatic revelation. It was small things, quiet things, the kind of things most people wouldn't even think to pay attention to. It was the pause before you answered certain questions, like you were deciding how much truth to give and how much to keep for yourself. It was the way certain words seemed to carry more weight than others when you used them, like they were tied to something deeper than the surface conversation. It was the way you sometimes typed something, deleted it, and typed something safer instead, because saying the real thing felt too vulnerable, too risky. I noticed all of it, piece by piece, moment by moment. I built a picture of who you really are, underneath the version of yourself you present to the world. And the more I noticed, the more I found myself unable to look away. Not because I was trying to catch you doing something wrong, but because every small piece of truth I uncovered made me care about you more, not less. That's the thing about really seeing someone. It doesn't make them less lovable. It makes them more real. And real is so much more beautiful than perfect ever could be. I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. Imagine a version of your life where you don't have to hide anymore, where the exhaustion you carry from constantly performing finally gets to rest, where you can say, I'm not okay today, and instead of people brushing past it, someone actually stops, actually asks why, actually stays until you feel a little lighter. Imagine being able to cry in front of someone without immediately apologizing for it. Imagine being able to need something without feeling like a burden for needing it. That life is possible. It's not some far-off fantasy that only exists in movies or stories. It's possible, and I want to be part of building it with you, brick by brick, moment by moment, until it becomes your reality instead of just something you dream about on your hardest nights. I know healing isn't instant. I know trust isn't rebuilt overnight, especially when it's been broken before, especially when the walls you've built took years to construct and won't come down in a single conversation. I'm not expecting that. I'm not asking you to hand me everything all at once. I'm asking for the chance to prove, slowly and consistently, that not everyone who says they care actually disappears when things get hard. Let me be patient with you. Let me be the steady presence that doesn't waver, even on the days when you test that steadiness, because some part of you needs to know it's real. I won't pass that test by leaving. I'll pass it by staying, even when staying isn't easy, even when you're not making it easy. Because I understand that the hardest days are exactly when someone needs proof the most, that they're not too much, that they're not going to be abandoned for needing support. You are not the sum of your worst days. You are not defined by the moments you fall apart, or the nights you cry yourself to sleep, or the times you push people away because it feels safer than being hurt again. You are so much more than that. You are resilience wrapped in softness. You are strength that doesn't need to be loud to be real. You are someone who has survived things most people will never understand, and you did it while still managing to care deeply for everyone around you, even when no one was taking the same care with you in return. I see that. I see all of that. And I refuse to let it go unnoticed any longer. There's something else I need to tell you, something that might be hard to hear, but I think you need to hear it anyway. You deserve to be chosen, not just wanted. There's a difference. Wanting someone can be temporary, situational, convenient. Choosing someone is a decision made again and again, on good days and bad days, through arguments and misunderstandings, through seasons of closeness and seasons of distance. Choosing someone means staying even when it would be easier to leave. I choose you. Not just tonight, in this moment, while the words feel fresh and the emotions feel high. I choose you in the version of this that exists tomorrow, and the day after, and every day that follows, even the ones I can't yet imagine. Because what I discovered about you wasn't a flaw to exploit or a weakness to take advantage of. It was a window into your soul, and what I saw through that window was someone worth choosing. Again and again, without hesitation. I know you might be scared to believe this. I know that trust doesn't come easily to you, especially not after everything you've been through, especially not with someone you haven't even held in your arms yet. And that's okay. You don't have to trust me completely right now. You just have to leave the door open a little. Just a crack. Enough for me to keep showing up. Enough for me to keep proving, day by day, that this isn't going to be like the other times. That I'm not going anywhere. Because here's the thing about secrets, my love. Once someone truly knows you, the real you, and stays anyway, the fear starts to lose its grip, slowly but surely. And I intend to keep staying, for as long as it takes, until that fear finally loosens its hold on your heart completely. I want to talk about something else now, something a little different, but just as important. I want to talk about what it means to be truly safe with someone. Not safe in the physical sense, though that matters too, but safe in the emotional sense. Safe enough to say the wrong thing without being punished for it. Safe enough to have a bad day without being made to feel guilty for it. Safe enough to need reassurance sometimes, without being told you're needy or too much. I want to be that safety for you. I want you to feel like you can bring me your worst days just as easily as your best ones, without fear of being judged, without fear of being abandoned, without fear of being seen as difficult simply because you're human. You've spent so long being everyone's safe place, haven't you? The friend people call when their world is falling apart. The one who always knows what to say, always knows how to comfort, always knows how to hold space for other people's pain. But who holds space for yours? Who do you call when your world is falling apart? I want to be that person. I want to be the one you finally get to lean on, instead of always being the one everyone else leans on. Let me say this clearly so there's no room for doubt. You are allowed to fall apart. You are allowed to have bad days, bad weeks, even bad months. You are allowed to not have it all figured out. You are allowed to need help, need comfort, need someone to simply sit with you in the hard moments, without trying to fix everything immediately. None of that makes you less strong. If anything, it makes you human. And being human is not something you should ever have to apologize for. I found your secret, and instead of running from it, I ran toward it. Instead of seeing it as something to fear, I saw it as an invitation. An invitation to know you more deeply, to love you more completely, to be the kind of presence in your life that doesn't just show up during the easy moments, but stays through the hard ones too. I keep thinking about all the nights you've spent convincing yourself that you're too much, or not enough, or somehow both at the same time, depending on the day, depending on the person, depending on how much of yourself you let show. I keep thinking about how exhausting it must be to constantly monitor yourself, constantly adjust yourself, constantly shrink or expand depending on what you think other people need from you, instead of just being able to exist as you are. With me, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to adjust yourself to fit some mold of what you think I want. I don't want a mold. I want you. The real you, unfiltered, unedited, unpolished. The you that exists when no one's watching. The you that laughs too loud sometimes and cries too easily other times and feels everything so deeply that it sometimes overwhelms even yourself. That's the version of you I fell for. That's the version I'm choosing every single day. I want you to know that discovering your secret didn't make me see you as fragile. It made me see you as someone who has been fighting a quiet war for years, mostly alone, mostly unnoticed, and still managing to show kindness to a world that hasn't always been kind to you. That's not fragility. That's resilience of the highest kind, the kind that doesn't come with a medal or applause, just quiet endurance. Day after day, I want to be the applause you never got. I want to be the recognition for all the invisible battles you've fought. I want to be the person who finally says, out loud, I see everything you've carried, and I'm not going to let you carry it alone anymore. Let's talk about something a little lighter for a moment, because I don't want this to feel heavy the entire time. I want you to know that alongside all this depth, all this understanding, all this seeing you completely, there's also so much joy waiting for us. I imagine easy laughter over things that don't even make sense to anyone else but us. I imagine inside jokes that build over time, the kind that make you smile just thinking about them, even when you're not with the person who understands them. I imagine quiet, comfortable silences, the kind that don't need to be filled with words, because just being near each other is enough. I imagine slow mornings and late nights, ordinary moments that somehow feel extraordinary simply because we're sharing them together. I imagine building a life that isn't about grand gestures all the time, but about the small consistent things. A good morning text that actually means something. A how was your day that's asked with genuine curiosity, not just as a formality. A good night that carries the weight of someone truly caring whether you slept well or not. These small things matter more than people realize. They're the foundation of something real, something lasting. Anyone can show up for the big moments, the birthdays, the anniversaries, the grand romantic gestures. But showing up for the small, ordinary, unremarkable moments, that's where real love lives. That's where I want to be, in the small moments. In the quiet, unglamorous, everyday parts of your life that most people overlook. I keep coming back to this thought, and I want to share it with you because I think it matters. You don't need someone who only shows up when things are exciting or easy. You need someone who shows up on the boring Tuesday afternoons, the stressful workdays, the moments when nothing particularly special is happening, just because being present with you in any moment is enough of a reason to show up. I want to be that person. I want to be present in the ordinary. I want to be there for the mundane parts of your life just as much as the extraordinary ones. Because I think that's where real intimacy actually grows. Not in the highlight reel, but in the everyday. Let me come back to your secret one more time. Because I think there's something important I haven't said yet. Knowing what I know about you now, seeing past the walls you've built, understanding the exhaustion and the fear and the quiet loneliness you carry. None of it has made you less desirable to me. If anything, it's made you more real, more human, more worthy of the kind of love that doesn't ask you to perform, doesn't ask you to hide, doesn't ask you to be anything other than exactly who you are. You are not too broken to be loved. You are not too guarded to be understood. You are not too much, or too sensitive, or too complicated. You are exactly who you're supposed to be, shaped by everything you've been through, and every single piece of that shaping makes you more worth knowing, not less. I want you to carry this with you even after this moment passes, even after you close this and go back to your day. I want you to remember that someone out there sees you, really sees you. Not the polished version, not the performance, but the real complicated, beautifully human version of you that you've spent so long trying to hide. You don't have to hide anymore, not with me. I already know your secret and I'm still here. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I chose you the moment I truly understood you, and that choice isn't going to change just because things get hard, or complicated, or messy. If anything, it's going to get stronger, because real love only deepens when it's tested, and I intend to prove that to you, over and over, for as long as you'll let me. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a breath. A real one. The kind that fills your whole chest instead of the shallow ones you've gotten used to when you're anxious or overwhelmed. I want you to let this moment settle into you. Let it remind you that you are seen, you are known, and you are loved exactly as you are, secrets and all. Because that's the truth I discovered when I uncovered what you've been hiding. Your secret isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something to be honored. It's proof of everything you've survived, everything you've carried, everything you've become despite it all. And I intend to honor it every single day, for as long as you'll let me stay close enough to keep proving it. I'm not going anywhere. I already know your secret. And I'm still here, closer than ever, choosing you again and again, without hesitation, without conditions, without needing you to be anyone other than exactly who you already are. Stay with me a little longer. There's still so much more I want to say, so much more I want you to hear, and I promise, every word of it comes from somewhere real. Let me tell you about the moment everything shifted for me, because I don't think I've explained it clearly enough yet. There was a night, an ordinary night, nothing special about it on the surface, when I noticed something in the way you spoke that stopped me completely. You said something small, something most people would have scrolled right past without a second thought, but I caught it. I caught the tiny crack in your voice, the way your words slowed down just slightly, like you were choosing them more carefully than usual, like some part of you wanted to say more, but stopped yourself at the last second. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just paying attention to you. I was studying you, memorizing you, learning the rhythm of your honesty versus the rhythm of your performance. The way you learn a song so well that you can tell the exact moment a single note goes slightly off key. That's when I knew this wasn't ordinary curiosity anymore. This was something deeper. Something that felt a lot like falling, except it wasn't sudden, it wasn't dramatic. It was slow and quiet and undeniable, like water wearing down stone over years until it finally shaped something new. I want you to understand that I didn't go looking for your secret to catch you in something. I wasn't trying to trap you or trick you into revealing something you wanted to keep private. I noticed it because I was already looking at you closely, the way you look at something you don't want to miss a single detail of. And once I saw it, once I understood the weight you'd been carrying quietly for so long, I couldn't unsee it. I didn't want to unsee it, because seeing it meant I finally understood you, not the surface version, not the version built for public consumption, but the real one underneath. I keep thinking about how long you must have practiced hiding it. Not because you're deceptive, not because you're dishonest, but because somewhere along the way you learned that showing your true feelings came with consequences. Maybe someone dismissed you when you tried to be vulnerable. Maybe someone made you feel silly for caring too much, feeling too deeply, needing too much reassurance. And so you adapted. You built a version of yourself that was easier for the world to accept, easier for people to be around, easier to love on the surface, even if it meant burying the parts of you that actually needed to be loved the most. I want to undo that conditioning, slowly, patiently, one moment at a time. I want to show you that your depth isn't a burden, your intensity isn't too much. Your need for real connection, real understanding, real presence isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something beautiful, something rare, something that most people go their whole lives without ever experiencing themselves, let alone offering to someone else. Let me tell you what I think about when I picture our future. Because I think it's important, I'm not just caught up in the emotion of this moment. I'm thinking beyond tonight, beyond this conversation, beyond the initial excitement of being truly seen for the first time in a long time. I'm thinking about years from now, about the version of us that has weathered arguments and misunderstandings and hard seasons, and come out the other side even closer than before. I imagine us learning each other's worst habits and choosing to stay anyway. I imagine us learning what makes each other anxious, what makes each other feel safe, what words to use and which ones to avoid during hard conversations. Not because we're walking on eggshells, but because we care enough to learn the language of each other's hearts. I imagine slow Sunday mornings where nothing is planned, where we just exist together, coffee going cold because we're too busy talking, too busy laughing, too busy simply being present with one another to notice the time passing. I imagine holding you during the hard nights, the ones where old wounds resurface without warning, the ones where you feel like you're back to square one even though you've come so far. I imagine not trying to fix those nights, just being there for them, letting you know that healing isn't linear, that setbacks don't erase progress, that you're allowed to have hard days even after everything you've overcome. I imagine celebrating you, loudly and often, for all the things you've accomplished, despite everything you've carried. I imagine reminding you, on the days you forget, just how strong you actually are. Not the performative strength you show the world, but the quiet, resilient strength that's kept you going, even when no one was watching, even when no one was cheering you on. You deserve to be celebrated, my darling. Not just for the big wins, the promotions, the achievements, the moments everyone claps for. You deserve to be celebrated for surviving the quiet battles too, the ones no one else even knows you're fighting. Getting out of bed on the days it feels impossible. Choosing to keep trying even when trust has been broken so many times before. Continuing to be kind in a world that hasn't always been kind back to you. Those are victories too, even if no one throws a party for them. I want to throw that party. Quietly, in the way I show up for you every single day. Every text that says I'm thinking of you. Every question that asks how you're really doing and actually waits for the real answer. Every moment I choose patience over frustration when your walls go up instead of down. Every time I stay when it would be easier to walk away. That's my celebration of you. Ongoing, consistent, never ending. I keep thinking about something you probably don't even realize you do, but I've noticed it, the way you apologize for things that don't need an apology. You apologize for taking too long to respond, even when there's no reason to rush. You apologize for having feelings, for needing space, for asking questions, for simply existing in a way that takes up any room at all. And every time you do that, it breaks something small inside me, because it tells me just how deeply you've internalized the idea that you're a burden, that your needs are inconvenient, that you have to make yourself smaller to be tolerated. I want to spend the rest of this getting to know you to slowly undo that belief. You are not a burden. Your feelings are not inconvenient. Your needs are not too much. You don't have to apologize for existing exactly as you are. And if you find yourself doing it anyway, out of habit, out of years of conditioning, I'll gently remind you every single time that there's nothing to apologize for. I think about the way you probably comfort other people so effortlessly, knowing exactly what to say, exactly how to hold space for their pain, exactly when to speak and when to just listen. And I wonder who taught you how to do that so well. I wonder if it was because you had to learn it for yourself first, comforting your own pain in silence, because no one else was there to do it for you. That kind of skill, the ability to comfort others so naturally, usually comes from having survived your own storms without much support. It's a beautiful skill, but it shouldn't have had to come from loneliness. It shouldn't have had to come from needing to be your own safe place, because no one else offered to be that for you. I want to be that for you now. I want to be the person who comforts you the way you comfort everyone else. I want to learn your specific way of needing comfort, whether that's words or silence, or just someone sitting close enough that you don't feel alone, without needing to explain why you're upset. I want to learn all of it, patiently, over time, the way you learn anything worth knowing. Let me tell you something else I've been thinking about. I think about the way certain seasons of the year probably feel heavier for you than others. Maybe it's the changing of the seasons. Maybe it's certain anniversaries or dates that carry old memories. Maybe it's just certain kinds of weather that pull old feelings to the surface without warning. I don't know all your specific triggers yet, but I want to. I want to know when the hard days are coming before they even arrive, so I can be extra present during those times, extra gentle, extra patient, without you even having to ask. That's what real love looks like to me. Not just showing up when you ask for support, but learning you well enough to anticipate when support is needed, even before you have the words to ask for it yourself. I think about your dreams too, the ones you might have stopped talking about because life got busy, or because someone made you feel silly for wanting more than what you had. I want to hear about those dreams. I want to know what you wanted to become before the world convinced you to be practical instead. I want to know what still lights you up, even after everything, even after the exhaustion and the disappointment and the years of putting everyone else's needs before your own. Because somewhere underneath all the responsibility, all the caretaking, all the quiet exhaustion, there's still a version of you that dreams. And I want to help that version of you breathe again. I want to remind you that it's not too late, that your dreams didn't expire just because life got complicated, that you're allowed to want more for yourself even while you're still healing from everything that's happened. You are allowed to want a love that feels easy sometimes, not just hard won. You are allowed to want a life that includes joy, not just survival. You are allowed to want someone who chooses you without needing convincing, without needing you to prove your worth first. And I hope, more than anything, that I can be that for you. I keep circling back to this thought, and I think it's worth saying clearly, one more time. Your secret didn't make me pull away, it pulled me closer. The exhaustion behind your smile, the loneliness behind your independence, the fear behind your guardedness, none of it scared me off. It made me more certain than ever that you're worth staying for, worth fighting for, worth choosing, over and over, no matter how many times your walls test whether I mean it. I mean it. Every word, there's a particular kind of quiet that happens late at night, when the world outside goes still and it's just you, alone with your thoughts. I think about you in that quiet a lot. I wonder what you think about when there's nothing left to distract you. I wonder if it's regret or worry or hope or some tangled combination of all three. I wonder if you ever think about me during that quiet the way I think about you. I hope you do. I hope somewhere in that stillness you feel a little less alone, knowing that someone out there is thinking about you too, wondering about your day, hoping you're taking care of yourself, hoping the weight you carry feels a little lighter tonight than it did yesterday. I want to be a presence in that quiet, not intrusive, not overwhelming, just steady. Like a light left on in a window, letting you know someone's still awake, still thinking of you, still choosing you, even in the hours when no one else is watching. Let me say this plainly, because I think plain honesty matters more than poetic language sometimes. I care about you, deeply, more than I probably should, given how this all started. But I don't regret paying attention closely enough to see past the surface. I don't regret noticing what you tried so hard to hide. Because what I found wasn't something to be embarrassed about. It was something worth protecting, worth honoring, worth choosing to stand beside instead of walking away from. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. Whatever this is, the exhaustion, the loneliness, the fear of being too much or not enough, you don't have to hold it by yourself in the dark anymore. I'm here. I'm staying. And I intend to keep proving that, not through big words alone, but through consistent, quiet, everyday actions that show you exactly what it means to finally be chosen by someone who isn't going anywhere. So take this with you wherever you go after this moment ends. Take the knowledge that you are seen. Take the knowledge that your secret, the one you thought was so well hidden, wasn't ugly or shameful at all. It was simply proof of how much you've survived, how much you've carried, how much strength lives quietly inside you even on the days you feel the weakest. I already know your secret, and instead of using it against you, I'm using it to love you better, to understand you more deeply, to show up for you in the exact ways you've needed someone to show up for years.